Hi, everybody. This is Alan Fine, and I'm here with Michaela Guzzi, who is the founder and chief content creator for Oh, the People You Meet, with the logo of OTPYM, as well as other platforms. So she's celebrating a 10-year anniversary, which we're going to find out more about. And more importantly, she's creating consumer content that we think would be really beneficial to the Travel Advisor viewership. So without any ado, let's go to OTPYM. How do you do that at a wedding? OTP. How do you do it? And this is Insider Travel Report.
I said just like that. OTP.
How do you do P? Oh, P. That's P? Okay. Admittedly, Insider Travel Report is a news source, and we put out as quickly and as timely as we can the content. And, there's no bells or whistles, but for you, what I love about your content, it's wonderfully flashy and tasteful, and most of all, it's edutainment. We can learn from it. And so that's really the reason why we wanted you here, is to talk about what, travel advisors might be doing to find you. So first of all, let's talk about your anniversary.
Well, thank you. Yes, we're turning 10. I know I don't look a day over 9. But no, 10 years ago, I was working as the VP of Global Travel and Strategic Development for Travel and Leisure and American Express Publishing. And two things were happening for me at that critical juncture, which was I knew the future of advertising was forever changing. And editorially, none of the brands were speaking to why I like to travel, which is meeting new people. And part of my role at more so Travel and Leisure was to oversee our travel agent advisory board and to bring our partners, cruise lines, airlines, destinations, hotels, in to get the insight of our travel agent advisory board. And so that was often a part of our ad packages and deals with them. But I knew everything was changing, and I didn't know what was changing, but I knew it had something to do with digital, social, video, and Instagram was just coming online when I left. So the word influencer wasn't really around, and I still loathe that word anyway. And I think it's only a part of what I do. Right. And it's definitely been an evolutionary process. So I didn't leave with this whole master plan of doing something. I just knew editorially I was going to focus on people that inspired me. And from a business perspective, I was going to focus on the digital, social, and video solution. And I have such mad respect for what you and James do. And I do read and watch all of your videos. And it helps me keep up to date being self-employed with everything that's going on in our industry, which has so many shifts. Yeah. Well, and it's funny, I caught up with a former client from corporate America, but he was also translated and collaborated with me 3 different times in my solo journey with Oh, the People You Meet. And she was like, you're kind of like 10 years ahead of your time. And I was like, I know. And in a weird way, the pandemic actually made what I'm doing more relevant. Like people all of a sudden, suddenly get me and what I've been up to for the past 10 years. So I guess that's good.
Well, for us as well, we doubled down, put out twice as many videos a day during a pandemic. It did more and more interviews, and basically everybody, they needed sources of information. So you were part of that. That's great. So now you have a number of outlets. I mean, Oh, the People You Meet right now. I hope everybody's Googling it right now and getting right there. But so which was the first one? Was it Oh, the People? Okay.
Oh, the People You Meet. It started, and it was literally me. So when I left American Express Publishing, I went on a one-way ticket to Africa, and I ended up spending 3.5 months there, traveling around 7 different countries. And I went with the premise of, because this was before everybody was using the words sustainable and transformative and immersive. And I was using those words. And my whole premise was, if a consumer is given the choice and the experiences from Lodge A and Lodge B are similar, they will inherently choose Lodge A because they're supporting the community, or they're doing a wildlife project, or they know that they're helping save the planet in some way, that people were becoming more sustainably minded and community focused
and willing to pay that little bit extra. Right? Yeah. It usually does cost a little more, but they're willing to.
1,000%. And so With the People You Meet, it was more me documenting via writing and photography. I would put it out on social media, and a good friend in the hotel business was like, you have a pretty sick database from your days in publishing. I think you ought to drop a newsletter to remind some of the people in the industry to tune in to your website. And so that's how it started. And then very funny, I'm trying to think. Oh, I was asked to audition for a TV show, and they're like, send us your reel. And I'm like, I'm a recovering corporate executive. I don't have one of those. And they're like, well, just make a video. And so I went out with a restaurateur friend in the West Village, and I interviewed him at several of his different restaurants in New York City. And I put that on YouTube and sent it to the production company. And they're like, oh, we've gone a different direction. I was like, all right, well, it's still a good piece of video and content. I'll put it on my website. Right. And before I knew it, it was in New York Taxi TV. And one of the people that saw it was my former client from Qatar Airways. And she's like, I didn't know you were creating video. And I was like, neither did I. So the next thing I knew, me and my cameraman were on our way to Doha. We were filming with Chef Nobu and Ramsey and Bhatia and the CEO of the airline. And at that time, Johnny Jett, Peter Greenberg, and Everett Potter all redistributed the content. So I was like, okay, so I'm kind of marrying these two worlds. I never want to touch advertising again. I thought the ad model of 10 years ago was inherently broken. I still do. And so I've never touched advertising in its traditional form again. And because of that, I've been able to work with other media outlets to produce high quality video content and provide it to them.
Right. So it's not just all the people you meet, but that was the stepping stone. That was the beginning. And then, and basically, a travel advisor can look up, the people you meet and a location, and you've probably been there, and they'll have material that they can pass along to their clients. True or false?
No, 1,000% true. Yeah. And so, I mean, to even give you some background, in 10 years, I just keep saying yes. So I'm all that positive vibes. And
yeah. So how many do you have?
So I call the People You Meet now our content house, if you will. So we always focus on people, places, and purposes. And actually, I have 110 people that contribute to me all across the globe. And several of them are sellers of travel because they get to go to some cool places and they have the insider scoop. So if they're willing to share the information, me and my editor are happy to help them refine it and make sure that it's grammatically correct. And we'll either take your photography or some of our photography. And then I also have Michaelas Map, which is our longer form show. And we totally reimagined it. That show has been on like Ariana Huffington's Thrive Global. It's run on Everett Potter, but it's also run in flight on American Airlines.
We don't know about it. You got to pretend nobody knows about it. So all the people you meet, you're meeting all these people on your travels, and we're getting profiles on them. But Michaelas Map, which you started to do before the pandemic, and you had to hold off a little bit. What is that? How is that different?
Sure. So Michaelas Map is our show. And one of the things that I really wanted to do, I always hated the traditional hosting model where I'm like, I'm going into Rwanda or even heck LA and trying to be more of a local insider and telling people I'm an expert here. But in reality, I'm not. I'm a visitor in this place. But what you can trust me as the founder of the People You Meet, where we focus on people, places, and purposes, is that I know the right people that you should meet when you're here. And so I try to always curate my cast of local hosts. And so we just launched our first newly reimagined episode, and it's on Rwanda. And we launched it like a week and a half ago. And I wanted, because it's now post-pandemic, people are a little freaked out and travelers are understandably confused and scared. That makes sense. I was like, you know what? I want someone to watch this episode and be like, I want to have this experience. I want to meet these people. I don't sell travel and I don't have time to even pretend to get into it. And there's so many other people that do it better than me, but I know a lot of people that do. And so in this particular instance, I brought in Strong Travel, and they're a virtuoso agency, and I've known them for a very long time. And we interviewed them at the very end of the episode. And that way, when someone watches the video and they want to go have this experience or meet that person, now someone at Strong Travel can help them book that experience. And so that's Michaelas Map. That's
Now, wait, so for example, that episode, would a travel advisor who's not that agency still be able to use the material?
Of course, 1,000%. And I mean, in that particular episode on YouTube, we have strong travel featured, but if people wanted to use like a portion of the content or whatever, I think we're all excited about getting people to travel again. And that's just Rwanda. We have actually 13 other episodes, and one of them I met you filming in Alaska.
Yes, I was going to bring it up, so I'm glad you did. Yes. That's a great one, by the way. I enjoyed watching it over again.
So beautiful. Well, thank you. So you've only seen the shorter form content. So we've been releasing all these teasers and trailers, and now we're going to have a half-hour episode on cruising to Alaska with Norwegian Cruise Line. And I have 4 episodes on Australia, which now that they're announced they're reopening, we're going to be releasing those episodes as well. And I have another episode featuring Dr. Jane Goodall, who's my ultimate she hero in Sierra Leone, which is a very special place, but for some intrepid travelers at the moment. But their beaches are absolutely fabulous, actually, and very affordable.
So let me ask you this. So you also teach social media, and so you'll explain to us, there's one school of thought that says, well, you get all the people you meet and you put all your content in there and you make it giant. But you decided to have different, you have Michaelas Maps, and then you have more. Why did you decide to diversify? Does that help for the recognition and the way the internet works?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's listening and paying attention to what's going on around you. So Michaelas Map we had already been filming and like starting to release shorter form content before the pandemic. And then the pandemic happened and my show required me to go in destination and film people. But obviously I couldn't do that anymore. And it would have been pretty colorblind to start publishing episodes on travel and human connection while nobody was allowed to get on a plane. So we started a new show, called Inspiration Station. Also an evolutionary process. I had no idea what I was doing when I first started doing it, but I was like, I know I have digital audiences and I know how to create content for them. I've done plenty of live TV, but now I'm going to do it on my own platforms and my own channels and see what happens. And to date, we have over 120 episodes. I call it a visual podcast. So we film it over Zoom. I take about a week to edit it so that I can put in their beautiful marketing content or videos, things that I might not have actually been to the place. But it also allowed me to start having conversations with people that weren't necessarily travel related. They were inspiring. Maybe they were a scientist that was working in Tahiti and saving baby sea turtles, or maybe it was the CEO of the Quintana Roo Tourism Board of Mexico. And then I thought we all need a little bit of wellness in our lives. So I'll focus on people that are more about like your mental well-being or yoga practices. And so I really tried to mix it up. And we had over 8.5 million views on those episodes.
So that's Inspiration Station. So I want to make sure everybody keeps it clear.
Yeah.
Oh, the people you meet. How many episodes do you have on Oh, the People you meet?
Well, so the People You Meet's the content house. And so I use
it's not episodes,
website.
It's just lots and lots of snippets. Got it.
Yeah, and our contributors and everyone. So it's one of the venues in which you can go and interact with all of our content and our shows.
And the Michaelas Maps are longer and you're actually going. And Inspiration Station is the Zoom version. Mm-hmm. Okay.
And you know what, honestly, we keep using them. Like now, I think that the next evolution of Inspiration Station, and we do have several people lined up. I just went after ILTM, so I go to all the same conferences as travel advisors. And so I do know many of them on a pretty deep and intimate level over the past 2 decades. And I went to the Chanot Palace in Vegas, Switzerland for this like deep detox and wellness experience. And I went with Sari Freeman, who I think a lot of people know. She represents them. And it was fascinating. And there were several media people and advisors there for this like deep detox. And now I have the doctor of the entire Chanot method which is in different hotels across the world, and then also at their 2 individual palaces that you can go and detox for a week or more at. And I have him coming on Inspiration Station to talk about, the whole method and why it's important and the benefits of that. And then obviously some of the travel experiences that you can have behind that. So it allows me to have different kinds of conversations. Like if you go watch the Rwanda episode on our YouTube channel right now, I think you'd find, there's short sound bites from different people, and there's some fun moments, like where our guide talks about his little sister being stolen by a gorilla, and so you have these like fun in the moment, terrifying travel moments. And then you have Inspiration Station, which is like, you don't have to watch it. It's a 35 to 40-minute program. You could just listen to it while you're doing your work. But because what we do in travel is so beautiful, I like to show the visuals. And then we started
but
yet
you can't
another
just go
show.
by that chimpanzee gorilla. What happened?
Yeah, the poor guide. I mean, oh my God, traumatizing. He said that he and his mom were out when he was a little boy, and I guess his mom was like hanging up the laundry. And they live right on the corner of the national park. And he was running around and the baby was sitting in the basket. And a gorilla just like crawled out of the jungle and like picked up the baby and started walking back into the jungle. And the mom was like, can't chase after the gorilla.
No, it's like Tarzan, get back here.
She's screaming and screaming. And the gorilla like looked back and put the baby down and just walked back into the jungle. And the mom ran and grabbed. Yeah, but
it's a good thing she screamed.
Yeah, I know. Like, imagine he was like, "Oh, this is my kid. I'm going to take it." Because I don't think any animals are inherently dangerous to humans. No. They're not after us. But if you do something stupid or you don't listen to your safari guide, which happens often, you could probably put yourself, because they are wildlife. They're wildlife, and you should respect that. So don't get me going on that.
But we had to briefly stop because I was just. But now you have another one, which is sleeping around again safely, and it's like
just trademarked it.
Oh, great, because it's good, and so can something be used through all of these? You could take something from the people we meet,
sure,
and filter its way through all the different ways.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah. No, my colleagues and I are actually in the process of. We just built a landing page for sleeping around safely on the website. So hopefully it could even be like easy link outs. I mean, they're all living on my Instagram. So we have 2 in Michaelas Guzzi and OTPYM on Instagram. We have 3 Facebooks. We have a YouTube page. We're on LinkedIn. So we try to be as many places in a quality form so that people can share on whatever platform.
But also the idea is
on the site.
The idea is you hook somebody and then they become a part of everything. So now explain to us, sleeping around again safely, what kind of stories can they expect there? You could probably guess, but.
My mother hates the title, but it does
forget
not.
Forget about that. We all love it. So keep going. Mom doesn't always know best in terms of marketing. Yeah.
No, not at all. And in a good way. In September 9th of 2020, I had just about enough of sitting put. I had done some like road trips out to the Hamptons, and I had gone to the family cabin in Michigan. But I was just ready to get back on the road again. And I knew people were scared. And I was like, well, if I don't show people that it's safe to travel.
We did the same thing.
Like you got to get out there again. And touch wood, I have not had COVID. And I take as many reasonable precautions as possible. And some of my trend predictions well before the pandemic were that people were looking for these like nature getaways and to get out there. So my first trip was I went to Denver on a one-way ticket. And that was where I went to a big graffiti art fair that was happening there in September and happens every year. It's called Crush Walls. Mm-hmm. And so my first video was at Crush Walls in Denver and interviewed one of the artists and, showed people with their masks on. And then we road tripped through actually with a travel agent friend and a friend that works for Chase building out their travel program. So I was with 2 of my travel buds and we went through Utah and we went to some of J-Max properties and we were on horseback and in John Wayne territory, and we went down to Palm Springs and then up the coast of California.
But all in the guise of sleeping around safely.
Yeah, and so everywhere I went, I was creating these like little mini-sodes. So sleeping around safely, they're Sometimes it depends. Like if I feel like there's a good interview, I don't want to feature people just to feature people. Like I want it to be a meaningful experience. So in the
But
beginning,
this is not the people you meet. So you got to keep it clear. This is sleeping around.
No, okay.
You could,
The
no.
people you meet is the parent company. So it's our content is always people, places, purposes. And then it's Michaelas Map, Inspiration Station, and Sleeping Around Safely. And those are mini-sodes that have gone totally viral on Instagram, which is very funny. Like our average post gets 50,000 plus views, which is incredible. And that keeps growing. And I hope it does. And since fourth quarter of 2020, I feel like I've been able to take some breathers from showing all the robots like spraying down your room and the masks. Like I'll do a little like shout out to it. But the idea is that it's more like showing these people fun, shorter sound bites of different destinations. And where Michaelas Map, I try to keep as evergreen content so it'll be relevant for years to come. When we were sailing to Alaska together, Sleeping Around Safely, I filmed 3 of those. And I did one Sleeping Around Safely in Seattle, Sleeping Around Safely in Alaska, and one was like the return to cruising. And so I did show tests and masks, and I had sound bites that have a timestamp, in my opinion, talking about it being the first cruise or what they're doing to make it feel safe, or, even having the captain of the ship talking about, repatriating his people and like what it meant to him to bring them all back. Yeah. So having those wonderful sound bites that especially us in the travel industry are like, like it's a breath of fresh air for us. And even the people of Seattle, how much jobs in Seattle are tied to the cruises coming back there. So Sleeping Around Safely has allowed me to have that more newsy focused information that's still consumer facing, because I think it's really important for consumers to understand that actually by traveling, you're doing a good thing for a great many people and destinations when you get out there, because even New York City, I mean, how much of our city's revenue is tied to hotel tax? So getting out there and spending some money is actually doing people, 1 in 11 people, a world of good.
Right. So we're going out to almost 100,000 travel advisors, and they are now aware of all of this content. What do you have any final words you want to say to them?
Yes, I was at a Joanne Kurtzeller's Hidden Doorways dinner last night, and with 4 of her hotels, and she had leading advisors from Los Angeles there, and I literally to the ones that I had the chance to speak to, and several of them had seen me speak at different conferences or trainings, and I was like, you should be so proud of being a travel advisor, because I would have always recommended people use you, because if you miss your flight or something goes wrong, or you want that extra special connect at the hotel, for the most part, you really don't cost that much more than booking it directly. And when something goes wrong, you have someone to call. But you have never been more relevant. Like with crazy COVID, as I like to call it, like you don't know what test you need, and it could probably change tomorrow. And like, do you need to wear a mask? Yes, you have to wear a mask, but only in this county and not in that county. And like, but the advisor is spending all this time being the expert for you, and already was the expert in the destinations and the hotels, and has, all the connects in their phones. So to me, I think just keep putting yourself out there in a meaningful way. And I think for people who are just like getting their social media game face on, I would choose one channel and do it well. Don't feel like you have to be on the Facebooks or the Instagrams or whatever. I personally prefer an Instagram just because I do video and it prioritizes video. So what I do is I do my Instagram really, really well, and I do video and it continues to work. And then I re-promote that video on my Facebooks, on my LinkedIn, whatever, so that those communities, people who only follow me there, still know that we're doing it. But I'm driving it back to like the one channel that I think we just mash best with our video content. But I always say, if you're on the travel and leisure A-list and whatever Condé Nast version is of that, or you're quoted in Forbes, or you did receive some industry award. You should talk about that. And also, like, your hotel partners and cruise partners, they all have great marketing, video and content. Like, reshare it. They'll happily give you their content. And also, like, if you have a client going to Rwanda or that wants to go to Alaska, you should share editorial content on your channels and be like, hey, this is my friend Michaela or my friends James and Alan, that here's great information about the place that you want to go to. And I don't know, like, that just gives you more street cred and shows that you know what's going on in the industry. And then you don't have to recreate the wheel.
Professor Michaela, I know you teach this, so thank you for that freebie for all of them.
You are most welcome.
Okay. Well, I wish you a lot of luck. I look forward to seeing you again on another trip. I enjoyed our trip together. I enjoy your, you seem to hire the best crews too, because the content is always pops. It's nice to look at.
We like drones. We like drones.
Oh, I know you like drones. I covet your drones. We're just news. But someday maybe we'll do a drone thing. But
totally.
Yeah, no. So anyway, thanks again, and good luck to you, and happy 10th anniversary.
Thank you so much. I always say pack a bag and for now a mask and journey on with me. So see you on the next one.
And this is Alan Fine for Insider Travel Report.